Your Excellencies, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. I thank you for your invitation to attend this meeting, and I extend my gratitude in this regard to my Syrian compatriots from Syrian Negotiations Commission and to the distinguished sponsors of this event. Unfortunately, the humanitarian situation in North and Northwest Syria has not improved. The fragile ceasefire allowed the international and Syrian aid organizations to provide various services to more than 4 million beneficiaries. Ihsan for Relief and Development, the organization I represent, has by itself successfully managed to provide 4 million services last year with the help of beautiful partners like CARE and the United Nations and others. Our local and international NGOs and humanitarian aid institutions have provided no less than Ihsan to the population in North and Northwest Syria. What does that mean? It simply means that the needs are enormous, especially within the COVID-19 pandemic, and require relentless efforts to meet. I will not repeat numbers, statistics, or figures. I believe you are all aware of them. I would like to emphasize on the fact that the failures to renew the resolution on cross-border operations will cause clear inability for the United Nations and its partners to continue providing aid. There is no substitute for the cluster system that is managed by the United Nations, which is the main tool to coordinate all humanitarian operations in Northwest Syria. Any suspension of the cross-border operations will not only cause failures to provide services to the beneficiaries, but will directly affect the work of other local and international organizations who are striving to cover the gaps. Without the coordination process and the cluster system, we will see a lot of inconsistencies in the work and a waste of time, effort, and money. Furthermore, the failure to renew this decision, especially at this time, will negatively affect the vaccination process that the Syria vaccination team started in cooperation with the World Health Organization. We must all continue to support this process until the end in order to get rid of this pandemic while taking advantage of the partially stable conditions in the northwestern region of Syria. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, for the second year in a row, I get this chance to speak in front of you regarding the extension of the UN cross-border aid delivery mechanism. I was hoping this year our discussion will be about how to improve the cross-border aid delivery mechanism, widening its capacity, broadening its operations, and about how to overcome its defects and maximize its benefits. I'm therefore disappointed that the debate is still about the continuity of aid operation. It is sad that for some UN member states consider sovereignty to be more important than human lives. It is sad that some UN member states seem to believe that humanitarian aid is a luxury. There should not even be a discussion on a humanitarian operation such as the cross-border operations, since we are just discussing how to deliver basic needs to the Syrian people. According to international humanitarian law, delivery of humanitarian aid must not be politicized. The energy of this discussion should be channeled into finding a way to end the Syrian people's misery. Syrians living in North and Northwest Syria are not mere numbers on beneficiary aid list. They are humans with flesh and blood. More than half of the Syrian people have been displaced in 2011, either inside Syria or have become refugees in other countries. Turkey alone accepted more than 3.5 million of such refugees. Keep in mind that the vast majority of displaced children are without schools. In these past years, a whole generation has never set foot into a school. Yet, we are debating today if we want to help dealing with the symptoms of Syria's illness, while the discussion should be on the best way to deliver the cure and medicine needed for its recovery. Your Excellencies, distinguished delegates, I would like to express my highest appreciation for the efforts of your governments in keeping the cross-border mechanisms alive, hoping that next year we meet to further enhance the work of this mechanism rather than keeping on lobbying for its existence. And I'm not sure of an answer. I'm just adding my voice to the question. Okay. We have Syrian people that are living under the Assad regime, and I consider them to be hostages of that regime. And then to make sure to add insult to injury, and then we've got the situation in north and northwest Syria. So indeed, yeah, if the borders are closed, let me tell you this, right? The credibility of the international community is in question. Let me repeat, the credibility of the international community is in question if these borders are closed. We're talking about starving people with intent. We simply cannot even think of those terms. If those borders are closed, we as humanitarians, we will do whatever it takes. Listen closely to what Ms. Shireen has said. Listen closely to what Albert has said. Listen closely to all of these great representatives of what they have said. We will work together. We will form a line. We will do whatever it takes. Even if we have to deliver 1 lira at a time, $1 at a time, we will do our part. But when we do that, we will put to shame all politics and all politicians. And when they are mixing this humanitarian, I mean, we're talking about life of people here, ladies and gentlemen. We're not talking about building a school. We're not talking about bricks and mortar. We're talking about life. We're talking about this creation that God Almighty has described in the Quran, that we have honored a human being, right? This is how God described us. We're honored creatures. And we want to get dishonored creatures, and we want to kill them, and we want to squash them, and we want to starve them, and we want to prevent them from basic needs. We want to prevent our ladies from their supplies. We want to prevent our children from the milk. We want to prevent people from fresh water and feeding. Talking about closing cross borders, and I know I have to be diplomatic in such a setting. We have to do that. I understand that. But when the question becomes, yeah, I add my voice to these wonderful people inside Syria who themselves. I'm amazed by how disciplined they are. My brothers and sisters inside Syria. And they keep their mouths shut, and they're trying to be polite, because I know I have visited them recently, and if I tell you that there are people in need there, you can multiply this by 1 billion times. The situation is dire. The mere thought of just closing these borders, the only way I can summarize it is it truly is going to put the credibility of the international community in question. No question asked. This is the worst humanitarian crisis in history. There is none like it. Millions of people are starving. The UN itself have described that 80% of the Syrian people are below the poverty line. Ms. Shireen knows exactly what that means. That means this is a systematic starvation of the Syrian people, and simply we cannot be part of it. We as a humanitarian, we will not play along. We will do whatever it takes to deliver that aid inside Syria, and we will form a chain of lines to make sure the supplies goes outside. At the end of the day, millions of people, our brothers and sisters, are dying, and as individuals, we will do whatever it takes. You can take my word for it. Thank you very much for allowing me to say this.
Thank you, Dr. Ghassan. Thank you for your passion.